I'm Trishita, and this is my first time ever. So it smelled of new faces, new benches, new walls. It sure didn't smell of home, but I hoped I could call it one soon. The places echoed with people running with pigtails, charms, and the squealing joy of meeting everyone after the summer break. I wanted to join this happiness, and I was all ready for this optimism to encompass me. I stood alone waiting for the friendly faces to approach me, the kind kids with pigtails with whom I could play and study all day. Yet nobody did. Oh, silly me. Been to so many places, and didn't you know that they antagonized the new kids? I drew a human that day in the art class, started coloring it with peach with tinges of brown. Hey, color it black, like your skin, otherwise, how would you be called ugly? These kids laughed, and then as church bells ring to wake us up, their voices rang in my head. They didn't want to be friends with a dark kid in class. And here was my first encounter with our country's unending love saga, or should I say, a lingering obsessive compulsive disorder with the fair skin. Years later, I would begin to realize how much skin color affected my approachability. Yet the 12-year-old in me didn't give up, and eventually I had to prove myself as being fun to outshine the liability that they put on me of being dark. I had to make them laugh, in fact, laugh with them. I mean, who wouldn't want to be friends with a girl with a sick sense of humor? I would compare the skin on my hands and legs and every body part to show that no, hey, I have tinges of light brown, or hey, wait, I'm not completely dark. It's the sun, trust me, I was born a bit lighter. This unrequited love of mine with myself was the summary of my childhood. Eighth grade was the beginning of flowery poems tucked in messages sent at 12 a.m. Finally, having been accepted in the cult of cool kids, my heart grew fonder, tender, and those butterflies along with those hormones kicked in. And oh my, it was reciprocated, and how. We had to sneak in messages and sneak in glances. And yet, here I was, wholeheartedly waiting for him to embrace me in front of everybody. But he wanted to echo our promises in silence, and I romanticized it. Only later to be told that who would date a dark skinned, translated into ugly, translated into not in my category, translated into a total reject. And here was my first encounter of having cried and cried the whole night, thinking, when was acceptance going to be my kind guest knocking at my door and saying, hey, I'm home. It's been long overdue. My 14-year-old mind could tremor with the only acceptance that I would never be accepted. This mundane world had nothing to give this dark girl who couldn't shine because of what I wore as my natural costume, my dark skin. I would never wear white because it outshone me, would always be a step behind, lurking in the shadows, because it would be the only home I could go back to. Would never go out in the sun playing with the other kids because their skin reflected the society's radiance while mine deflected it. By the end of my teen years, with the advent of psychology in life, I could name my disease. I grew to be phobic to the idea of white. I grew to be tormented that my skin didn't shine as bright as theirs or as peachy, as blushy, as red as theirs. With school left behind, memories were tucked away, with the voices that I never raised, with my white shoes that I never bothered polishing it white again, with human figures I didn't dare touch with my colors, with the impending doom that these figures would represent me. I grew to be phobic to songs, colors, and any and everything that reminded me of how dark was I. And then I curved ball into another millennium of my life with the wrong foundation, alcohol that made me forget my woes, drugs that made me happy, failed relationships, friendships, taking a front seat, while my 12-year-old self, with pigtails and color pencils waiting to be approached, non-stop yapping, shining beacon of my positive heart died. But along with this new loathing identity came a new sense of dissent, an overwhelming feeling of burning the chairs of the very Indians who did not seek to embrace their own skin, a powerful alliance of my heart with those feelings of solitude that had haunted me. The very shreds of humanity from which we were born, sans division, echoed in my mind. I was ready to be my own acceptance. I was ready to call myself beautiful, and I was ready to shut the millennials and their so-called prophecies of fair and lovely. But to be rebuked for being too sensitive, for jumping in the bandwagon of those stereotypical feminists. Radicalism had taken a new turn with its nonsensical demand, shouted the very hypocrites whose empathy had gone on a long tour. I was every skin doctor's dilemma, every fairness cream that was prescribed to me. And had this been my old self, I would probably make this cream my religion. But educating oneself does wonders. Self love should be made a subject in every drab educational system which indoctrinates the idea of being worthless. No longer did I compare skin color, or any sort of inkling towards the idea of a skin color. White looked angelic on me and you and everyone else. It wasn't just a color for me. It was a mockingbird. It was the symbol of being freed from the very shackles of my past. No longer did I stare at my pictures and those monstrous apps with those skin lightening tools. No longer did I approach the sun with an umbrella. Instead, I let the 12-year-old in me out. I ran towards the sun with open arms. Every tip of my skin, your skin, resembles diamonds. I grew to fall in love with it every day, and this was the kind of romanticizing that I delved in. And this time, it wasn't unrequited. You are mad, you are sexy, you are charming, you are rebellious. You are the star of your tale of how beautiful you are as you can get. You can cross the rivers and oceans, you can fight with the army. You can wear your glowing, beautiful skin, be it dark or light with bright. For love is the only magic that we can provide ourselves with in this hypocritical, mundane world. Thank you.